Chapter 7 Alcatraz Now. In 1972, Alcatraz became part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. The next year, it opened to the public as a national park. It's been a popular tourist spot ever since. But it's not just people who come here. The rock is the perfect nesting ground for many types of seabirds. They build nests in the rubble that remains of the warden's mansion and other buildings. They hunt for fish in the tide pools. California slender salamanders and banana slugs live among the ruins too. Human visitors arrive 362 days a year. They come by boat and follow in the footsteps of 1,545 federal prisoners before them. After a long uphill walk to the prison basement, they are given headphones. They choose from 11 different languages and take an audio tour of the grounds. The English language tour is narrated by former guards and inmates. Now visitors can learn the truth behind the Hollywood myths. Alcatraz in the movies. Birdman of Alcatraz, 1962, was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and considered a great film. However, it was inaccurate in its portrayal of the real-life Robert Stroud. For example, Stroud's birds weren't even allowed on Alcatraz. Escape from Alcatraz, 1979, starred Clint Eastwood as Frank Morris. It was about the daring 1962 escape and was mostly true to life. Murder in the First, 1995, starred Kevin Bacon and Christian Slater. It told the story of Henry Young, a man who claimed in court that Alcatraz's cruel punishments led him to murder a fellow inmate. The movie was not very accurate. The Rock, 1996, and part of X-Men, The Last Stand, 2006, were also set on Alcatraz. On the tour of Alcatraz, people enter the dreaded cell 14D. They stand in the stripped cell and try to imagine what it felt like to be there in the dark, cold, and hungry, and alone. They see chips in the concrete floor where grenades exploded during the Battle of Alcatraz. They peek down the corridor Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers tunneled to. At the height of Prohibition in 1930, about 1 out of every 650 Americans was in jail or prison. In 2008, it had risen to 1 out of 100. Violent crime has actually fallen since the bloody days of gangland, but today people are thrown into prison for more reasons than in those years. As thrilling as the legends of Alcatraz are, it is important to think about what life on the Rock was like. At times, it was horrible, but it could also be helpful. Warden Johnston believed that structure and training could prepare inmates for life after prison, a better life. Not every warden thinks the same way today. With more Americans in prison than ever before, lessons and methods from the past can be valuable. For now, Alcatraz, the island of the pelicans, has returned to the birds. But the Rock will always remain a stark and fascinating reminder of our past. Timeline of Alcatraz and San Francisco. 8000 BC. Native Americans visit Alcatraz Island to fish and collect eggs from seabird nests. AD 1542. Spanish explorers begin to map the northern California coast. 1775. Juan Manuel de Ayala of Spain becomes the first known European to see Alcatraz Island. 1776. Spanish colonists found San Francisco. 1848. California becomes part of the United States. 1849. Gold rush brings prospectors west. San Francisco's population explodes. 1859. Fort Alcatraz opens. 1861. U.S. Civil War begins. First military prisoners arrive on the Rock. 1895. Hopi Indians imprisoned at Alcatraz. 1906. Earthquake devastates the area. Alcatraz temporarily houses prisoners from the city's jail. 1934. The U.S. Department of Justice takes over Alcatraz. Al Capone arrives at Alcatraz on August 22nd. 1946. The Battle of Alcatraz rages from May 2nd to 4th. 1962. 3 prisoners break out of Alcatraz and are never found. 1963. Alcatraz's last prisoners leave the island on March 21st. 1969 to 1971. The Indians of all tribes occupy Alcatraz Island for a year and a half. 1973. Alcatraz becomes a national park open to the public. Timeline of the world. 8000 BC. Cats move into human settlements and become pets. AD 1508 to 1512. In Rome, Michelangelo paints the Sistine Chapel ceiling. 1775. Author of Pride and Prejudice is born in England. 1776. The United States of America declares its independence from Great Britain. 1821. Mexico wins its independence from Spain. 1845. Florida becomes the 27th state in the Union. 1851. The foot-powered sewing machine is invented. 1859. Charles Darwin publishes his theory of evolution in the book On the Origin of Species. 1866. Permanent telegraph cables across the Atlantic, allowing almost instant communication between the United States and Europe. 1867. Alfred Nobel of Sweden invents dynamite. 1896. First modern Olympic Games are held in Athens, Greece. 1903. First World Series is played between Boston and Pittsburgh. 1905. First modern movie theater in the United States opens in Pittsburgh. 1932. Amelia Earhart becomes the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. 1945. World War II ends. The United Nations is found. 1963. President John F. Kennedy is assassinated. 1969. Sesame Street airs for the first time. 1973. Sears Tower opens in Chicago and remains the world's tallest building until 1990.